do that. There it goes.
Okay, so we're going to call the meeting to order. Why don't we just go around who's here? Chris, why don't you start? Well, Chris, can you hear us?
Oh, he froze.
He did freeze. Well, Chris, you're frozen right now, but Chris Zimmerman is here, and then we've got Faith Foley,
And John Marr.
Doug Marr, and Carol Carey, and Laura Robertson. So the first thing we want to do is approve the meeting minutes, and we do have a quorum.
As long as we can get Chris to vote.
Yeah, as long as we can get Chris unfrozen.
We'll give him a second. Oops.
Can you unmute yourself and talk to us?
He might be frozen. See, he doesn't even show. Oh, there he goes. Okay,
He's
he's probably
gone.
going to come back.
Yeah. Give it just a minute. Everyone get a chance to look at the meeting minutes?
Yeah.
Well, if we had any comments, we could go through the comments.
Sure. Okay. Did anyone have any, let's start with the May 12th meeting minutes. Did anyone have any comments for that? I had a couple, but,
Yeah, I have, I think just one. It's
okay.
a very small issue. Line, I guess, page 2, line 54,
Yeah,
black-I-Susans.
okay,
I'm not sure of this, but I think it should just only the hyphen between the black and the I,
okay.
because that's the adjective and Susans is the noun.
Anything else?
And for the May meeting, that's it.
Okay, I had a comment, and it's Linda, catching.
Yeah.
On line 63 on the same page, Chairperson Carey noted that the Arbor Day event was the largest event they have had in years. I would say to date, because I don't think we've ever had
I can
anyone.
hear Carol.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Yeah, pull it really close to you.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Better.
Okay. Is there a volume thing?
Yeah, I wonder if that one's not working as good. I feel like we sometimes have problems with that. Here, it's you.
Linda, can you hear me better now? Okay, great. And also Amanda Matuzik just joined the meeting. So on line 63, I would change, Chairperson Carey noted that the Arbor Day event was the largest event they had had in years to the largest event to date. And then I think that was everything I had on it. Does anyone else have any comments on the May meeting minutes? We still have a quorum, even though we don't have.
Yeah, now
Chris.
we have Amanda, so we can
Yeah.
vote on them.
You saved the day.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
okay.
So does
But
somebody,
Amanda, you have to turn your microphone on and pull it up to you.
so does anybody have any, does somebody want to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for May?
Yeah, I move that we approve the meetings for May.
Okay, anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 And Chris is back.
Great. And Chris, it looks like you're back.
I am back. Sorry about that. My internet went down, so I am joining by phone. Sorry about that.
No problem. We just approved the May meeting minutes. Did you have any comments on the May meeting minutes?
No, I did not.
Okay, we're gonna go on to the June meeting minutes. Did anybody have any comments on those?
Yes, mine's all in about the same spot.
Okay,
I guess it's page 2 of the June meetings, lines 40, 41, 42, and 43. There's a bunch of different ones. So first, this is a matter of taste or choice. I canceled. In American English, I think we only use one L, because it's not canceled, it's canceled.
okay,
But the British apparently use 2 L's. I looked that up.
okay,
So it's okay if we want to leave it as 2 L's. And then now we have same line, black-eyed Susan's flowers. So I think we want to hyphenate the black-eyed,
Uh-huh.
and then either just say Susan's without the flowers, or maybe it should be Susan Flowers. It sounds like a double plural to me.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it'd probably fine just to take off the flowers. It'd probably be.
Yeah. Okay.
And then next line 42, there's a capital on the black-eyed,
Yep.
which I think shouldn't be there.
Okay.
And then further in line 42, cross off the word plant to say black-eyed Susans.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the next word, tend, should not have an S.
Okay.
And then down in line 47, the word, oh. No, that's fine. For someone, I was looking at this earlier, my eyes thought there was a J and there were definitely, but it's just,
Okay.
never mind that one. Okay.
Okay. Any other?
Oh, I'm sorry, I do have another one.
Okay.
This is line 85, which
Yeah.
is page 3. The end of line 85, that TO should be a T-double-O.
Yep. Okay. That was one I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
So. Any,
That's it.
that's it for you, John? Okay. Any other comments? Chris, do you have any comments? Oops.
No comments. Thank
Okay.
you.
Amanda or Faith, any?
I don't have any comments.
Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve the June meeting minutes?
I make a motion.
Okay. Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. We're approving.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next is privilege of the floor. There is someone here, so do you have?
No, just here to observe. I wasn't sure exactly what it was. Just wanted to, I just moved here, so I wanted to join as many meetings as I could. So-
Oh, okay,
Oh,
great.
nice.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
So, and yeah, let us know if you have any questions. So,
I did about the spongy moth.
Can you come up to the podium? Otherwise, nobody on there will be able to hear you.
No problem. Ralph Bonilla, 870 Worcester Drive. Just spongy moths. I know that you guys have put some information out on it. Any update on how the town is doing with that?
So if you want, you can leave me your email and I'll send you a link to watch the seminar that we did with the DEC guy because he had all of the most up-to-date information. But really like where it's right now is that most of the caterpillars are gone and they've turned into moths.
Yeah, that's what
And so they're maybe still fluttering around in your yard a little bit, but
And the
probably that's
eggs.
even the tail end of the moth. And so what we're going to do in the fall is we're going to send a reminder to everyone to scrape the eggs off the trees. And we're going to send a picture of what they look like
Perfect.
and do like an egg scraping day. And then in the spring, we're also going to put on our calendar, like to send a reminder out to people to tape the trees. The DEC forester didn't think that that's like going to massively control the caterpillars, but it makes some difference because there's like up to 1,000 eggs in each one of those egg sacs. So if you scrape them off, that's 1,000 less caterpillars eating your oaks. But he also said that we're on the tail end of the 3 to 4 year cycle. So hopefully the virus and the fungus will start taking the caterpillars out.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I think the two things that the tree council wants to remind people to do is scrape the eggs in the fall and tape the trees in the spring. And then we're hoping that the virus is going to take care of the rest.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah, and the link that we'll send you gives, you
Yeah,
can
you
watch
can
the whole
just-
seminar.
If you want,
Yeah.
you can write your email here and I will email you.
So,
The
Laura,
DEC forester guy is a really good resource.
Laura, I just want to ask, so the email blast, a lot of people don't get those emails.
Yeah.
So we want a way to contact everyone, I could put it in the paper or,
Yeah. The only way to contact everyone is to send it in the mail.
Uh-huh.
And even that's not, no problem.
Yeah.
Even that's not everybody.
Yeah.
No, but we didn't do
It's more than the email blast though.
We didn't do an email blast after the seminar with a link, did we?
Oh, so we could do one more
I
email
think that
blast.
would be good,
Yeah.
saying we had the seminar. If you
Yeah.
missed it, here's a link to watch it.
Yeah. But my neighbor was commenting, she doesn't know about this stuff. I said, you got to get the email blast. She doesn't know anything about
Because she's
that.
not signed up for the
Right.
emails.
So there's a lot of people who don't even know that this is something to sign up for.
Yeah.
And we even send our newsletters electronically. I was trying to convince them to
Yeah.
put the newsletters in the mail once. The problem is it's very expensive to mail stuff
Yeah.
townwide.
Well, the other thing is, there something we could do in the Niskuna Spotlight?
Oh, I don't know, but maybe we could. You mean the Niski?
That little
The Gazette thing?
Yeah, the Gazette thing,
Yeah,
and just
we
say we
could
had a
ask them.
recent seminar. Here's more information.
or talk to.
And you can tell people how to sign up for email blasts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
so that when we send the egg scraping
Yeah.
reminder and stuff, that they'll be there.
And I assume we'll have instructions we can put on the webpage too. So they can
Yeah,
remind
it's
people.
just gonna take a couple pictures of the egg sacs and then make sure that people aren't just scraping them into the lawn because Scott said that they can still hatch.
Right.
Yeah, that you have to put it in the soapy water.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be gross, but worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So moving on, the next is new business. We have any new business, Laura? I know we have all these discussion items.
Yeah, I didn't have any new business for you guys unless you had any items.
I think just, stuff from our subcommittee
Yeah.
report outs.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the first discussion item, planning board referrals, GE Research and the Celts Farm. Let's start with the GE Research.
Yeah, so the GE research is really just an update. I'll put them up. I mean, you guys actually saw our memo from before, and it hasn't changed. The only thing I wanted to update you on was that the planning board did approve the GE site with the condition that the tree council approve the final sort of exterior landscaping plan, which is the memo that we talked about here. And then also that we'll approve the foundation landscaping plan of the building
Okay,
when the building comes in or prior to the building getting a final CO. Because remember, he said that the plantings were going to happen. One could be like really any time, although you don't really want to be planting trees right now. But so probably trees in the fall, then build the building and then do the landscaping around the building. So the planning board approved GE with this memo. So we need the final tree planting plan because remember he said he was going to get his architect,
right.
his landscape architect to do that. And then we'll approve that. And then we'll get another plan later on for the actual foundation plantings around the building.
Okay,
So that's just an update on that. The planning board, trust you guys and deferred that to you.
okay, okay. So what about Celts Farm?
Yeah. And so Celts Farm is actually also the same. The planning board deferred the final planting at Celts Farm to us. I searched my emails when I was making this packet, and I know we had comments on the Celts Farm trees because on this plan, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's still saying Norway maple right here. It says Norway maple. And so he has, I think, maybe verbally committed to not planting the Norway maple, but what I think we should do, because the planning board again deferred this to us, is mark on this, like mark out the Norway maple, put in some suggested species, email it back to him. And another thing that I wanted to do, because the trees were going in at Park Ridge, which is right off of Banker Ave, and the developer waited until the very, very end to put the trees in. And
This is Celts Farm?
this is Celts Farm.
Oh, you're switching.
But yeah,
Okay.
I'm just saying Park Ridge just put their trees in because they had a tree planting plan like similar to this, but they waited until the very end. And a bunch of people have been living there for 2 years without trees, and it was very similar to Napa Court. People were like, I don't want trees. Why are you planting trees? And it's just so hard to get the trees in at the end of the
Right.
subdivision rather than the beginning.
Right,
So I think that we should require him to put the trees in at the sort of at the end of each house rather
Okay.
than waiting for the trees to go in after the road is top coated. Hi, Amy.
I think that makes sense. Do other people agree?
Mhm.
Okay.
And Amador is doing that way, and I have not gotten a single complaint about the trees going in at Amador.
Oh, really? Okay.
I really just think it's this post thing where people are living in the house
Right.
and they've accepted the yard the way it is, and then they get trees 2 or 3 years later and they don't know why. And the
Okay.
developer always blames the town, which is super annoying because it is a subdivision requirement.
Mhm, mhm.
And the developers actually bond for it. The developers are well aware that they have to put those trees in, but they don't tell the homeowners, and then they
Okay.
blame the town.
Okay.
So
What can we put in to make?
yeah,
it a
so what I was
condition?
thinking is we could just, I wanted to do it before the meeting, but I didn't get a chance. Like literally just, we'll write, like draw out what we don't want in here.
Okay.
Write what we can do. And then even just on this plan, write trees must be planted, before temporary CO of each house or something like that, or
Okay.
between temporary CO.
Chris, did you have a comment?
No, I just switched back over to my computer.
Okay.
No, that's fine. And I'm surprised that they can. Yeah, I'm not even sure. Yeah, I thought that the Norway maple was listed on the, maybe it's not do not sell, but it needs to be tagged as invasive. So yeah, per New York State regs.
Yeah, so I thought that too, like Norway maple and burning bush and Japanese barberry. But I was at, I can't remember which nursery it was, but I noticed that they were selling burning bushes maybe with no tag. So I don't know how that tagging thing is working.
Sounds like it's not. So I know there's some stuff that's like do not sell, but then there was another category that would require tags.
Yeah, and I've been to a nursery where I saw the invasive species tag. I have definitely seen it out there, but I was at a nursery recently and there were no tags on a bunch of invasive species that I am fairly sure are on that list. Like, I'm pretty
Right.
sure it was like either a burning bush or a barberry. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Okay, so we have to go over the trees, but I also wanted to bring up, there was supposed to be that perennial pathway.
Yes.
And then I thought at last meeting you said they aren't going to do that.
It's changing because I have to go out and meet with the police chief and the highway department
Mhm.
about how we're going to configure that park, because we had some concerns from the neighbor that's adjacent to the abandoned road right of way. And it may be that we don't end up even like putting a gazebo over there, but
It wasn't so much that park, it was that pathway.
the
that we were
pathway.
gonna
That's
Plant
right.
perennials along
Mhm.
the pathway.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about. Those are the things you saw in the minutes both times. Like we can still ask.
Yeah. But I mean, why is that changing? That was always
That
part of
was
the
part of
agreement.
the original deal.
So that was part of the tree council's recommendation to the planning board. They didn't put it as a requirement of the subdivision. So we have to get the developer to voluntarily do that, which he may or may not do. The planning board, though, is fully requiring the trees and for us to approve the tree because that's a subdivision requirement and they defer that to us. I brought the pollinator pathway up to them multiple times and they never made it a requirement of the approval.
Oh, so that's why.
Yeah. I'm still
That's
hopeful
fine.
that we can have a conversation with the developer and he might do it, but I'm having problems even with the gazebo.
Because I think with the developer, when we were out there walking the property, he
Said no problem,
exactly verbally agreed to it.
which is why, I will keep pushing for it, but I can no longer say that it's 100% going to happen.
Okay.
We may be able to just get him to do it, but it was not a requirement.
Okay.
So does it, an oral agreement is an oral agreement, and if he orally agreed to it, then he should follow through with it.
Well, and he's relatively agreeable guy, but it just depends on how much it cost.
Right, and if it wasn't in the final agreement by the town board.
Yeah. and it doesn't mean that we couldn't, get a budget at some point and plant perennials along there because it's town owned. I'm just not sure that we'll be able to, and I think it's partly like they're all trying to plant now and it's a terrible planting season and they're trying to close all this stuff out. And it's like, he wants to put down seed, which, is okay, but
And I also thought you said that there wasn't going to be much room, that the backyards were coming.
yeah,
Up
it's
close to the
less
pathway.
than we thought it was going to be. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, so anything I think we could do to encourage that, because I think we were all under the expectation
So if,
that
yeah,
that
so
would happen.
I might be able to do this tomorrow, or maybe not, but I could sit down with this plan and mark up, like, I think it still needs more trees and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then I could also mark up like a potential planting plan, like along the path. Like, it's not gonna be like, exponentially high, but if it's like maybe, 20 to 30 like perennials, we might be able to get that as a start
I
along
mean,
the
just
path.
20 to 30
Laura, I
total?
have tomorrow off. I can come in and work
Do
with
you
you.
wanna
if you
come
want.
in and work with me on
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
Are you
So did the quick question in regards to, the pollinator pathway, did any of the lupin actually get moved or?
So Ellen, with the CIC, and myself and Ellen's niece and my mom, I think, moved a bunch of the lupin.
to the pollinator pathway?
to the Forever Wild area in Blatnick Park.
Oh, okay.
And most of the wildflowers in the area did grow back this year.
Where is the Forever Wild?
So if
Area.
you go down Riverdale, which is right next to Catherine, no, it's not Riverdale. It's the one, River Hill,
Okay.
right next to Catherine Woods.
Mhm.
And River Hill like curves, and then there's like an opening to Blatnick Park. That is a Lomo conservation area, and that's where the CAC moved the plants from Celts Farm.
Okay, but not along this perennial pathway or anything.
Well, I mean, the flowers are still there.
Mhm.
So like in here, in this area here, like, can you guys see my cursor? There's still flowers, but like if we're talking about planting them along, you know, the actual, I mean, they'll come up and touch the path like right here, and that's where they were growing before. But if we wanted to put some like on this side or down here, he didn't.
Also, part of the original agreement was that in this like little pull-off parking area, it was going to be surrounded by perennials as well.
Yeah.
Pollinator, not
They
just
weren't
the
able-
pathway.
They didn't, and they weren't able to scoop up like the lupin like they thought they were going to, like scoop it up and like deposit it over on this side. That just didn't happen.
Well, we knew that that wasn't really going to be capable, but we had agreed that along that little pull-off area that they would add pollinator plants and then go down the pathway. So it was going to be along the parking and then down the path.
Correct. We agreed in our recommendation of that. Absolutely. And we made that part of our recommendation to the planning board, and all of that was written down for sure.
Are we getting anything around in the park itself, the little park that they're developing?
Well, so I mean, that's if the gazebo goes there, he wanted to do perennial beds around the gazebo. But if the gazebo doesn't go there because there's concerns from the neighbors and stuff like that, then the gazebo may go like in Blatnick Park or something like that, and then it may look weird or
Mhm.
to just have. I mean, we might still be able to do it, but and I could see the frustration on all of you guys' faces. I mean,
Even
I
through the
know. But I mean, it happens with the CIC all the time too. Like there's lofty goals, and then there's like the actual things that we like have the fundamental capability under code to do. Like for sure, we still need to do more work on the trees. We don't have the legal authority to require the pollinator pathway. We can still ask the developer for things. It's just it's expensive right now, and it's not something that is required by code. And we don't have like, you know, the full, you know, backup of the planning board. The CAC does back you guys up on that. They did the same recommendation, but we can still do what we can. Any
Yeah, so it's gone beyond the point. They've approved it. We're past the
with
point.
the condition
Okay.
that we do the final tree planting plan with him.
Okay, with the tree planting. So it sounds like you and Amy will meet tomorrow and go over the tree planting plan.
Mhm.
And any encouragement that we can give the developer about planting. Because I don't think we were thinking of like a gazebo with just a few little perennials around. I think we were thinking of a beautiful perennial pathway
Mhm.
from, you know, Windsor to Blatnick.
Yeah, and so I love those too,
Mhm.
but like I think a couple of the concerns from the neighbors are like who would maintain them. If it's the town of Niskayuna, the town of Niskayuna is not a very good maintainer of perennial garden beds. They just aren't.
Mhm, mhm.
And so then it's like, is the neighborhood going to maintain them? Like maybe the CAC was like, maybe we can go out and meet with all the neighbors and come up with a planting plan for the neighbors. Super great idea. CAC is welcome to go meet with the neighbors. Like I don't have the time to go out and meet with all the neighbors. If the neighbors all want to get together and do some kind of a path and then set up a way of maintaining it, great. But it's a lot more complicated to just, I mean, you can have an imagination, but if it's not properly maintained and it's
Right,
right
that
at the
is
end
true.
of Windsor, it's like a problem. And then they were like, okay, well, if we put this gazebo, then we'll just do these garden beds around the gazebo. But then the concern is that it's like, it's in a really weird spot for a gazebo and it could like attract, so the police need to be able to put their headlights through it. But if you put the gazebo where the police can monitor it, then it looks very weird in relation to the neighbor's yard who's directly adjacent. And then it's like, is that their gazebo? Is it a public gazebo? It's supposed to have signs. So it's ending up being more complicated than we envisioned that it be. So I think in areas that aren't mowed already, it would be easy to pop in some perennials that we can pick up, and maybe even Schenectady County can help us. But as far as like massive drifts of wildflowers go, that's not panning out as well as it could.
Okay. So we'll do what we can, which is the trees, and we'll meet tomorrow.
Yeah. But,
On
and you
that.
know, because some of this goes to the tree council, but the CAC also worked on the pollinator pathway.
Mhm.
And I think at some point the CAC kind of said, let's get as many of the flowers that we thought we were going to put here over into Blatnick Park because we know they won't get mowed over there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on Celts Farm?
Do you just want to come in the morning? In the morning sometime?
You tell me, I'm open. You tell me
Okay.
what's
Well,
good for
I
you.
am here from 8 o'clock on. I don't think I have any meetings in the morning, so.
Okay. You want me to be here at 8 or 9 or what's good?
But it's your day off. You can even come in at 10 and that would be fine.
Okay. I'll text you before I come in.
Okay.
Okay, so what about the ongoing projects? Rivers Ledge Senior Building is the next one.
Yeah, so if you guys wanted to add some comments, we did the commenting on the landscaping plan for the downward side, and we've looked at this one just briefly. It's going to the zoning board, and one of the comments that the CAC had was that this building is, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's a pretty long building. And it's unlikely with the grading plan that any of the trees between this building and Aqueduct Road will remain. I mean, they might be able to save one or two, but the majority of them are going to go. And so really you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 trees. These guys screening this big building. So the CAC asked for the developer to add more trees along here, just so that as you're driving by, you're only getting like a broken up view of this building. But if you guys had any more comments, they stuck to the species that we've talked about them with before. So their buffer planting is white fir, hinoki cypress, and Norway spruce. They've only got, they got the red maple, the river birch, crabapple, tupelo, sycamore for their trees. And yeah. Boxwood, they love the boxwood. Birea, Rose of Sharon, and Yucca for their bottom plants. We haven't generally objected to any of those things, those species, but we
We just want
probably
more.
could. If you guys, I think we should at least echo the CAC's comment of more trees along the road. But if there was something specific that we wanted to put in, we could now. We will eventually get the plan referred to us from planning board
Yeah, I think we should ask for more trees.
along the road.
Yeah.
Do we want to specify what type or just more of what they're?
We
putting in.
can, yeah, we could say, whatever we recommended before, they can draw from that same list again. And they could probably duplicate some of the ones that they're putting in. Just no more boxwood.
I fought a good fight on the boxwood. They apparently really like the boxwood. I guess deer don't eat it.
Right. That's true.
Am I allowed to comment?
It's up to the chairwoman.
Yes.
Any consideration to evergreens, like a green giant, if we're concerned about blocking the view, those things will grow and block.
Mm-hmm.
The
Giant
arborvitae.
Yeah, that would be,
Year round.
arborvitae green giant, that cultivar would work because it's deer resistant. So we can
Oh.
take
Oh,
that
really?
suggestion. They would have to use that cultivar.
Green giant. Okay, I'll put that on the list. I didn't realize that cultivar was deer resistant.
They're still
Yeah.
eat it, but less so than. the
Yeah,
others.
it's much less eaten. Yeah. And every plant has a pro and con, of course. Everything we do in life has a pro and con. The pro or con with that is that it gets really big. So in full maturity,
That's okay though.
35 feet tall, 15 feet at the base, most homeowners are looking for the narrow ones to go around their pool or in between, right? But you're correct, sir. We have room for that here.
Those are probably good trees for birds too. And maybe they would have less deer because they're right along a busy road too. So
Yeah, exactly.
at least the roadside won't get maybe the backside a little bit.
Okay.
Depends on how hungry
so
they are.
We have a plan for Rivers Ledge.
Okay, so I'll echo more trees along the road, draw from previous list, and consider the arborvitae green giant. I think that would be cool because that's not in the list already of their evergreens.
No, it would be a good shielding.
So they have white fir, cypress, and spruce. So if we add the arborvitae along the road, I think that would be nice. Put that in there.
Thank you for your suggestion.
The next one we have
Yep, 1747 Union.
is the Rosada Mart, and the planning board was just looking at this preliminarily with the owner, and the owner said that he was willing to spruce up the landscaping, which right now I'm not sure there is any, but even though these are labeled as plant beds, can you see the label in your packet? I can zoom in a little more if you can see it.
Yeah.
So this is the entrance to Union Street, and apparently there's 3 planting beds. The planning board specifically asked for updated landscaping, and then there was some concern that the trees wouldn't be able to fit there, but I think the trees could possibly fit there. So if one of you guys has a chance to drive down to Union Street and look at those plant beds, the owner is very nice, and I'd like to give him a suggestion of if we can fit trees there, great. Let's suggest a couple trees. And if we really think trees are a bad idea there, then at least we could suggest some native plants.
Okay.
What's the street number of that? And can you
So-
can you point where CVS is?
Union Street doesn't have a CVS, does it?
It's 1747. So where is that on Union?
So it's the intersection of Van Antwerp Road and Union
That's
Street.
right.
It's right across from Pizza Bueno. Do you guys
Yeah.
know where Pizza
Yes.
Bueno is? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I thought.
Right across the road from Pizza Bueno.
Okay.
It's very open and has a
Yes.
lot of asphalt. So if we
Oh.
could fit a tree,
It would be good.
and like I don't know if it was him, but someone from the planning board didn't think we could fit a tree, and I was like, we can fit a tree, but I haven't
small
actually been
tree.
out there.
Is that the previous hair salon?
I think it's always been a gas station.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a different name gas station, but I think it's always been a gas station.
Yes. Okay. I know where you mean Pizza Bueno. Okay. Yeah. I volunteered to drive over there.
And
So
if
I
I'm
think
out, I'll look too.
he's not an expert, but if we could give him like just, put a tree in the middle, put a couple bushes around it and mulch it, like I bet we can get him to do that. And I bet we can get the planning board to support us on that because they specifically brought up landscaping.
Okay. And then finally, the Empire Drive subdivision.
Yeah, that's this one. And this is kind of like the Lulisi subdivision where the driveways are coming off the end. So it's kind of a weird place to fit trees in for the subdivision. But I haven't been out there. But if you want to drive by, there's an existing stub. So my guess is that probably the best place to put trees for this subdivision is sort of on the stub road leading towards the private property subdivision. That's what we ended up having the Vincenzo Drive and the St. Gerard Drive do. But I don't know the situation with overhead wires or like yards and driveways. But I think it's 2 lots, so we could require at least 4 trees in that area. And if it doesn't seem to make sense to put them right along that stub going to these 2 houses, if we see some open spaces in that neighborhood, we might be able to plug the 4 trees in there. So
Do you
that's-
think we could drive over there tomorrow when I come
sure.
to meet with you?
Well, maybe we can just do the Union Street site too. Yeah,
Well,
okay. Yeah.
We'll do a tour.
Yeah. And then we can just tell the Empire Drive place where to put the 4 trees, just like we did with Lulisi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It doesn't fit like in front of the lots, so we have to like pick the spots.
Where is Empire Drive?
Empire Drive is off of Lyshik Hill Road.
Okay. Okay.
It's kind of a new subdivision.
Okay.
Yeah. Empire Drive and Gala Place.
Okay.
And this was like a landlocked, well, it wasn't really, I mean, this is just sort of the last parcel in the area that he's going to put 2 houses on.
Mhm.
And so that gives us a chance to plant 4 trees.
Okay.
We'll take it.
Mhm.
A tree is a tree.
So any other, Laura, topics that we have to?
Oh, you know what? I didn't put it on here because I'm still trying to get the planting plan from Amador. But in Harmon Grove, This was the one, and Chris will probably remember this, where we went out and it was like 0 degrees and we were trying to tag trees and it was hard. And they were like, well, we're going to like take them all down. So rather than like tagging individual trees, what we decided is that for each lot, they were going to plant a smaller tree between 1 and 1.5 inch caliper, 2 of them. So it's 66 lots. So they have essentially 120 small trees that they're going to plant in the area, in addition to the trees that they're already putting in for the homes. The homes already have 2 big street trees. You probably can't squeeze in a whole lot of trees around the homes. So what I've been doing is driving around those roads and looking like there's, like we could probably fit some along the storm water detention ponds. We could fit some in a previous subdivision adjacent to the development that has like no street trees, but that might be a knocking on the door because sometimes they don't want the trees. And just looking around for where we could fit street trees. So he said, and of course this is very normal, well, you tell us where to plant the trees. So I'm trying to get from them a tree planting plan of everywhere that they already know they're planting trees. And then we can mark it up and plant. But if we're driving around, Amy, maybe we could drive by there and I can show you where I was thinking. But 120 trees is a lot of trees.
Yeah.
So like, maybe there, but maybe like some of the subdivisions that are adjacent too, because it might be hard to fit a full 120 trees there.
And can we develop a recommended list for that as well?
Yes, I had to stop them because they were planting 100% red maples.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
told them they are
thank you.
not allowed to plant any more red maples. They need to switch to another tree.
And do we always-
They had a list of 5 trees that they're supposed to be alternating that we gave them, but they glommed onto the red maple and they are done with red maple.
Do we
now.
always give them that list that we have?
We looked at, I think specifically because we gave them big trees. I think we gave them like red maple, sycamore, tupelo, like because they wanted that red color, whatever. I know sycamore doesn't have that, but they wanted that like tree thing happening.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones that are planting them while the houses are being built. So
Okay.
every single house that's got somebody living in it there has 2 street trees already.
Oh, good.
And that works way better.
Mm-hmm. We just need to make that a practice going forward.
Yeah. And I don't know if we have to put it in the planning board resolution, but it is really hard to do it the back way. Like Napa Court was, I didn't bring you guys. It was super traumatizing. And Park Ridge has been difficult.
Okay.
In this instance, potential one suggestion might be to, relocate particular areas. We could potentially put pin flags in where trees could go, and determine it, and then just appropriate spacing. Another possible suggestion would be smaller trees. Such as like something like a redbud or trees of that stature might be able to meet the goals at this particular area.
Yeah, because they're not planting flowering trees. They're planting the big old street trees in front of those homes, which will make the nice, but yeah, having some flowering and some smaller trees, especially like where the power lines are and stuff, could be really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's where where there's locations where there's potential, not necessarily near the homes, but like the spaces in between.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Okay, should we move on to the different subcommittees? Public outreach, I think there's 2 things. The first is we do have a booth at the farmer's market again this year. So it'll be Saturday, August 6th from 8:30 to 12:30. So we're going to need volunteers to man the booth. And we also have to figure out what we're going to have in the booth, what sort of information we want to hand out to folks. I only signed up for one because I think we did it last year and we got some people, but I think like the Spongy Moss seminar that we had and the Arbor Day, we get a lot more people to those events. And so, with limited resources, I think it's good to do it, but we did, most people are there to shop and pick up their vegetables versus really spending a lot of time at the booths. So I think it's a good outreach, but we didn't get too many people last time. So, so I don't know what people think we should hand out. And I'll send out a sign up list that, I thought we could do it like last time, groups from 8:30 to 10:30 and then 10:30 to 12:30 so that you don't have to be there the whole time. No, it's August 6th, Saturday, August 6th. So whoever's around and available.
Yeah, just the spongy moth seminar, like we typically get between like 10 and maybe 30 views on our YouTube videos is up to 148 views.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty
I've
big.
sent that out to people, not even within Niskuna.
Yeah, just for them to watch.
The
Yeah.
spongy moth. Yeah.
It's like the highest viewed one, I think, except for maybe our grass growing good lawn seminar.
Oh, good. Yeah. So people who don't know, we did, Laura set up with the DEC Forester spongy moth seminar, and it was pretty well attended.
Yeah,
right?
there was like 30 people in the room.
Mhm. And then we also have it for people to watch. So you're going to, just to reiterate, send out an email blast,
On
and we're going to
Spongy.
try to get it in the Niskuna spotlight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would suggest information on emerald ash borer that, continues to be probably, the pest causing the current highest mortality of trees.
Yeah, we could add that into the Gazette if we can get the Gazette to pay attention to us.
Yeah. So just kind of building off the momentum of the spongy moth might lead to some mortality, but certainly, we're in the process of losing all of our ash trees.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
where you see the dead forests, like across from town hall and
Yeah.
stuff. That's all the emerald ash borer, not the spongy moth.
Right.
So
I think
it's great to have that mentioned and just people paying attention to forest health issues. So that's kudos to you all for kind of providing that information to the public.
Yeah, I think with the spongy moth, it's more obvious with all the caterpillars, and the emerald ash borer is a little more sneaky. We just went out in our property and tagged all of the ash trees that are going to have to be taken down, that are dead, and it's a half a dozen or so.
It's sad.
So the other thing with the public outreach, right before this meeting, I sent out, we were going to do the Niskuna Great Tree Hunt. So I sent out kind of a draft contest rules, and what trees we're going to look at. We're going to go for the largest maple, and because, sugar maple is the New York State tree, the largest oak tree. And then we had decided at the last meeting other, but I'm not quite sure what'll happen with that, what we'll get and how we'll recognize it. But maybe, I don't think we're going to give out monetary awards or anything with this one. We're just going to give them recognition. Yes. And recognition. Yeah, exactly. I think that would be sufficient. So
Is it just size, or are you also looking for rarity? Because there are some really cool, unusual trees in the town as well.
right now we're looking for size of those three categories: largest maple, largest oak, and other.
Okay.
So if they have an unusual one, they can submit it.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I think we're thinking like if somebody makes like a really big, I don't know, cottonwood tree or something.
Or Dawn Redwood or
Or Dawn
Ginkgo
Redwood.
or something.
But that Dawn Redwood is what I was thinking of. Yeah.
But we could be like, okay, here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
These other trees.
So people on the public outreach, if you could take a look at the draft and give any comments, and then I also am not sure when we want to actually launch it. Should we do it in August, or are people going to be away, or should we do it over a 2-month period?
May I make one comment?
Sure.
The measurement around the trunk is usually at DBH, which is breast height, so it's about 4 feet off the ground, just so that everyone's consistent with their measuring.
Yeah, we didn't want to get too complicated, so we took the Michigan one. Do we want to say at the widest point? Because,
I mean, we could say 4 feet
Yeah.
off the ground.
okay.
I don't think we should use DBH because that might scare people
Right,
away.
yeah.
But we could just say tree size is determined by some circumference of tree measured 4 feet off the ground.
Okay. Anything else on the public outreach? For the people that are on the public outreach? that You can think of?
I'm thinking that maybe like late summer, it might be a good time to launch into the fall. Just
Okay.
have something as a fall, kind of outreach type of event, because we did the May one and go for the fall. Because summertime, I think, I don't know, people are pretty busy.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you're right, because a lot of people may be on vacation.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some people would want to do it in August and some would want to do it in the fall. So I think overlapping both.
Yeah, so if we
Okay.
launch it at sort of the end of August and close it at like, I don't know, the beginning of October. or
Yeah, I mean, we
something.
can keep it open for a little while.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you could have
Okay.
August, September, and
Mhm.
like a couple days in October.
Okay, and before we go on to the next, I want to just congratulate Faith for graduating from high school. And
Oh,
will be going on to
congratulations.
college in the fall. And you probably aren't staying on? Or
Yeah, so I can help out with the social media until someone else becomes a student representative just to keep it consistent, especially with like the tree hunt. And if there are any like email blasts, if you want to just like send me the contents and I can also put it up there so it might reach more people. I did want to, and I never got to it, but I did want to start a Facebook page, which can be linked to the Instagram because that also has a broader audience. So there's some people that I've reached out to about like, would you be interested in the tree council?
Okay.
So I can talk to them about it, but yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, because you've done so much, starting our Instagram page and helping out with all the prep for the Arbor Day and posters and everything. So thank you, Faith. It's the first time we've had a student representative and you made it a success. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next, tree inventory and tree master plan subcommittee. Chris, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, so thanks to the initiative from Carol, we're going to be meeting tomorrow to discuss kind of the current status of the draft plan and then what elements need to be added, as well as just a general timeline. So that's where we're at.
So more to come after tomorrow, hopefully. So we'll see where we are. And Laura, we do have some money from the consultant, right? A little bit of money left?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we still have, I'd say almost half.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, good. And then tree planting subcommittee.
Hello, and thank you. I'd like to apologize for being late. I had to help close the store today. So it took me a few minutes to get here. I have been over to Dean Street where we did the 41 trees, and overall they're looking really great. And if you haven't driven up that street, I encourage you to, because it's so fun to drive up and say, oh, there's another tree and there's another tree. It looks really good, especially the 5 ginkgo trees at the connection of Dean to Providence. They just look spectacular. Now that gentleman also has a dogwood on the corner, which we have lost the leader on it. I already went to look at it. So I'm going to prune it and tie it up in such a way to try to get it a new leader. There are 1 or 2 trees that I'm concerned about that were looking a little bit dry. Also, we're coming into obviously the really hot part of the summer. So Laura, I was wondering, could we mail out, and I can come up with a draft of, hey, watering reminder, if that would be appropriate to mail to the individual people who actually got the trees.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Thank you. And also I've monitored that several of the trees, a lot of them actually have stakes still on them and tied very tightly. So I was able to remove 1 or 2, but I need to go back with, actual, with a knife and some scissors and and remove those stakes, because I don't want them to be girdling tied too tightly to the tree itself. And most of the trees don't need it. Those stakes that come with the tree are only for transportation protection. They're not to really keep the tree straight. The example that I give is if you're on a boat and you need to anchor, you don't put the anchor on the boat. You have to put the anchor onto solid land. And the stakes that come in the pot are only anchored to itself. If you need to anchor a tree, you need to anchor outside of the pot, outside of the root ball, to solid ground. So for multiple reasons, we want to take those stakes off. So I'm going to do that a little by little as we go through the next few weeks. And then Laura, I was wondering if we had heard back from Nick to see if that one tree on, I think it's called Webster, was moved to a more appropriate spot.
I mean, he and I identified that tree on a site, but he hasn't confirmed for me that it's been moved or not. So I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, so I have not been back to that side street, so I will go back over there and I'll look and see if that's gone. Then also Laura, what's the final street at the top where we were able to go around the curve with the trees? Do you know that side street name? We did like 7 trees coming around the curve on the corner. Maybe it's Niskayuna. Yeah. So I am a little concerned about those trees because there's no mulch rings around them. And so unfortunately, I think they might be getting damaged by the weed whacker. When I was there, the homeowner was not home. So I'd like to try and go and talk with the homeowner again so we could get some mulch around them to protect the trunks.
That homeowner really wanted all those trees.
Right.
So I think that's just a conversation with them. But
I agree. Yes.
They might
correct.
have also been like planting perennials, which may be fine as long as they like mulch.
Okay, I will double check that as well. And then Laura, you said that we had some trees that still needed to be planted, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you indicated that Ray said the department was a little bit behind on planting the regular requested trees, and we could use our northern nursery trees to fulfill the regular requested street trees.
Yeah, because I know Chris had been asking me for a while, like, are we caught up or are we behind? Because we had some people at a farmer's market or something say that the highway department said that we're about 2 years out. We are about 2 years out. So we actually have quite a significant planting list, according to the highway department.
Of requests.
Of requests.
They haven't been able to.
That they haven't been, but they also really haven't done a lot of planting. I mean, they just haven't had the time. And so, yes, so they want to use all of those on their list. I checked them. I think they'd all be fine street trees. And they just want to plug them in on some of their addresses. I told them that if they go and get the trees now, I really think we should drop the trees off with watering requirements for the homeowners, or they need to wait. And he said, see if the nursery will keep watering them, and the nursery said they would keep watering them.
They would? Okay.
Which is actually
That's
pretty
nice.
amazing. 'Cause
Yeah.
we ordered them in December.
Yeah.
But they did say they would keep watering them. So I think that we're thinking we'll plant them in the late summer, but we should probably still put the watering reminders with them, but that way they won't
Yeah.
toast, because they're going to be really nice trees.
Yeah.
They're
Can we
big.
also, Chris,
Yeah, so Laura, can you just elaborate on your conversation with the highway department? I mean, one of the things that we discussed that currently within the town budget, there is a line item for tree purchase. One of our concerns was that that line item be kind of spent down by the end of the fiscal year so that we don't lose those funds. So given that we've got 6 months and the remaining portion of this year, what's the current status and thinking from the highway department of how many trees they can plant, at the end of summer, coming fall?
Yeah. So because we ordered these trees last year, I think that the budget shows for last year as being pretty well spent. But both this year and last year, a lot of the budget, although we did do a fair amount of plantings, a lot of their budget, not what we did, was because they had a lot of trees die. And I think some of them were like ash trees and some of them were the really big silver maples. So they had to move a lot of their budget to pruning and maintenance, both this year and last year. They're actually a fair way through their budget already this year. But he acknowledged that he has quite a list to plant. They really didn't do any street tree plantings last year, which is why I think their list is so much longer. So I think that they weren't able to tackle it this spring. And we maybe can see if we can weasel a list out of them. I still haven't been able to get.
That was
Yeah,
going to be
because-
my next question,
But
because
if
we had
could
talked
weasel
about,
a list out of them,
yeah,
we could say,
we could
okay,
help.
how many addresses do you have? What's left in the budget? Like,
Yeah.
what, how can we maximize
And not only
it?
that, remember, we went to the town board to get the budget reinstated
Protected.
up to $9,000.
Yeah.
And so it seems what's happening is we're getting trees, but they don't have the time to plant them. And we're kind of getting,
They keep getting pushed off
exactly. And
because
so,
we've got all the elms coming this fall too.
exactly. And I'm really concerned that they're not going to be able to plant them all. So again, I think Chris brought this up another time. Can we use somebody else to help plant? Because we don't want to not spend that $9,000, or I think we'll have a very tough time next year trying to justify.
Agreed.
And the 9,000 is really not that much. We had 12,500 a couple of years ago.
And possibly, I like the idea of exploring someone else to help plant. And also, could there ever be a time where we work with the homeowners and kind of have, hey, the homeowners come out and we plant with the homeowners, they assist. And we get smaller caliper trees where we, as volunteers, we can actually go get the tree, have the town pay for it out of the budget, and then work with the homeowner to install the tree as a project. And then they have ownership, mental ownership of the tree, not physical ownership.
Yeah, we discussed that. I mean, we can, that's just a strategy that we were, a program we would need to develop, but I like it. It just takes some time. And just for the record, to kind of build upon what was already stated, $9,000 is 30 trees, depending on cost per tree. So it's really not that many trees, depending on cost per tree.
That's why it's nice that we'll have the 10 that we ordered last year. But I'm worried about,
Getting
because
them
it's so
planted.
hard for them. They barely were able to plant any trees last year. This spring, they ran out of time.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
they kept trying to do it this spring.
I can't see that they're going to plant.
But
We had how many
how are they
elms?
gonna plant them
Yeah,
all in
for
this
the
fall?
plus these others. I thought it was like 50
We
or
have
60.
60 elms.
Right. I'm really concerned that they're not going to have the time.
Right.
Then we have these
So-
10 from last
resources.
year and then potentially 30 from this year.
Right.
So, you're talking about planting like 100 trees.
So could we?
So, potentially maybe tomorrow at the end of or at some point we could, maybe tomorrow, I don't want to be like, find an opportunity for everybody to discuss, but like, what are some, next steps to investigate? Like, one, just having a conversation with the Height Department, recognizing that they're extremely busy and have a lot of work on their plate. If that is indeed the case, how do we then move forward with trying to, setting up like a request for proposals or bids for planting 50 trees or 100 trees, from contractors. And if we have the budget to do that, like, what are the, so is this a possible solution for this year?
Yeah, and it
And-
wouldn't even have to be every year. It's just if they're so behind and we know that we have so many trees to plant, like
Right.
can we at least get
Right.
some in the
Yeah,
ground?
I'm very
And-
concerned about two things. We have all these trees that need to be planted, that we went to the board to ask for an increase in budget, and that if we don't spend it, I think we're in jeopardy of getting the
Yeah.
budget reduced again.
Yeah.
And it's kind of out of our control, which is the difficult part.
But like for the record, the town needs these street trees like more than ever.
Mhm.
Like there's a lot of mortality in trees right now, and we need the cooling and we need the leaves.
We're still a net deficit of the trees that are being removed
Yeah.
versus what we're planting.
And is it a case where we, as Chris suggested, we ask for bid proposals from an established company? Or, and I don't know how this works, so you tell me, or do we hire one or two people for a temporary position. We hire you for 3 weeks for the summer, and this is your little project. And so you're a paid temporary town employee for 3 weeks. I don't know. You tell me which way is common or better.
I don't know. I feel like that question would be with the supervisor and the highway superintendent and maybe the comptroller.
And I'd be, fine with meeting with the highway supervisor, with you or whoever else, just to explain the situation and that we just want, to work with them on a solution.
Yeah.
We have all these trees. We understand that they're overloaded
It's a bit of a perfect storm because we
right.
put the elms off last fall
because they were,
in the fall. Then
Yeah.
we've put our spring trees off. So we've had a fall push forward and a spring foot push forward. And so now you have all of that that's coming down, and you really can't push it too much. You can't push
and
it
these are
forward
things that are
anymore.
going to die. The ones that they're still watering at Northern, that it's not something you can just keep pushing off.
It's
You've gotta-
island. Northern won't keep them that long for you.
Oh, okay. Okay. So,
Carol, if you could do that, that would be so helpful. Thank you for saying that you would meet with them.
yeah.
Like they're actually still just trying to plant the red bud out there. Like
Yeah.
Northern still has that red bud. That's one tree that they're still struggling to get in the ground.
Mhm. Mhm.
And our sourwood that's at Fadigan's.
Yeah.
So okay.
Okay. So anything else from the tree planting subcommittee?
I think that's it so far.
Okay. Then I think that was everything on the agenda. If nobody has any other items,
I'm wondering, Carol, you sent an email about the prizes to apply for through Arbor Day.
oh, I
Arbor,
did.
yeah.
That's right. I did send for the Tree City, there are some growth awards that you can apply for. And so as we think about what we're doing for the rest of the year, like I think the spongy moth presentation might give us a few points. I think if we get the tree management plan done, that was a certain number of points. But if we could all look at those, and as we're thinking about things, making sure that they kind of apply, like I'm not sure the photo contest gives us points. I'm still glad we did it and everything, but as we have these growth awards, if we give like an educational on mulching or something, we could get points for it. So everybody take a look at those categories and see if there's anything that we can be doing between now and the end of the year that could get us.
You sent that thing about for 2022, not stuff done last year, but for this
It
year.
has to be for this year.
Yeah.
We would apply in December.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had looked at that once before, and I think we could have qualified, but I didn't have the time to put together an application.
Yeah, we kind of looked after, after the fact.
Yeah, I noticed, one of them was new members. I think we got 3 new members last year, including me.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. We haven't been good at looking at what we could qualify for and taking credit for it. So, but I'm gonna call them and ask them about our Arbor Day, because it said you have to kind of do something separate, like an
Right.
Arbor Fest. But I think ours was kind of like an Arbor Fest. We had booths. It wasn't just somebody,
Yeah.
planting one tree and reading a proclamation.
Mhm.
We had much more than that. So I'm going to see if we could get credit for that.
Yeah, for the record, nobody even listened to the proclamation.
I know, everybody was in line for those.
They were all
trees.
in the fest.
Exactly.
funny.
Exactly. So, but thanks for bringing that up, John. Because if anybody has any ideas on how we can get, I think we only need 10 points. If how we can get those, that would be good.
Oh, I thought those are all different prizes to apply for.
No,
I see. Those are the way you get points.
Yeah.
I see.
and
Okay.
as long as you can do in any of those categories that add up to 10 points,
Mhm.
we could, I believe, I'll read it again, but that was my take on it. So,
Carol, I'm sorry. I have one more. If I can go back to tree planting for one
Sure.
second. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Laura, if we can continue to try and get the list from soil and water or the highway department, we can assist with helping determine which trees could go at which customers' houses. And then I volunteer, like I could go to the sites, order the trees and have them all prepared. Yeah,
I mean, that was a ton of work, but we've already shown that we can do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Oh, sorry. Keep on. I did talk to Nick from the Schenectady Soil and Water recently, and they did partner with Craig's School and plant some shrubs there. So even though we weren't involved, I think we should try to take credit when we can for that. Oh,
I like that. Let's
so,
take credit.
or give credit to
Yeah.
the school for working with. But I mean, 10 additional trees, I think,
Yeah.
were planted
Where did they plant it around?
around where the bus parking is.
Okay.
So, and they were red osier dogwood and another shrub. I can't remember. I wrote it down.
I was asking because that's Zenna Road. We were talking about planting trees along Zenna Road, but they didn't plant any on Zenna Road.
They-
Just by the
That
bus.
was
Yeah,
my understanding.
And that's one of the places that I want to plant them
Right.
too. That was because, boy, that would be amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, except we don't want to plant at the end because of the astronomy club.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, with that, does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn? Nobody?
I'll move that we adjourn.
Okay, if anyone want to
I'll
second?
do a second.
Okay, thanks. And thank you.